Hello and welcome to Peak Performance Selling, the only sales clinic in the Middle East. I'm Dr. Anand Menon, your host and sales doctor on this channel. Now, as you go through this channel, if you like some of the videos that you see here, I would encourage you to hit the like button and share it with your friends on your social media platforms. You see, I'm a firm believer that those who know have the moral responsibility to share with those who don't. So let's become ambassadors of knowledge and share what we learn with our friends. And I want to thank you in advance for doing that. On this video, we're going to discuss the topic of training. Why is it important for salespeople to be trained? So this is a video that can work for organizations, managers and directors, and even for you as a salesperson. Why is it important that salespeople must be trained? You see, I've trained a lot of salespeople. In the last 15 to 16 years, I've trained over 18,000 salespeople in 18 countries. And it doesn't surprise me when I often come across a manager or a company that doesn't want to train its salespeople because they carry two kinds of thinking that just isn't right. The first thinking is that we have a very high attrition rate. We hire and fire in this type of industry a lot. So we are pumping in money into training people who are going to be fired. Well, the statement shocks me firstly because it suggests that what you're spending your money on is not effective training. That's the reason why you need to fire them in the first place. And the second thinking here on the same idea is that if we train these people, then they are going to move on to the competition and we have trained the competition's sales force. Now, the second main reason why a lot of managers or organizations do not spend or invest in training their people is because they believe they're hiring people with experience who have received previous training already. And they're banking on previous training to be able to deliver the goods in their organization when they've had no control, no access to the quality and the content of that previous training. This reminds me of a funny little story which appeared, it's all over the internet. A conversation between a CEO who was result focused and a CFO who was cost saving focused. And the conversation was something like this. The CFO was telling the CEO, what if we train them and then they leave? And the CEO smiled and said, what if we don't and they stay? You see, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. Try the cost of ignorance. So if you're an entrepreneur out there or a manager watching this video, let me ask you this question. What's the first thing your customers buy? Well, the answer to that is the first thing that your customers buy is your salesperson. If you're a salesperson watching it, the first thing your client buys is you. Now, research has been conducted by the Sales Survey Organization, which actually evaluated what were the decision-making influencers or the buying decision influencers on clients. The survey was conducted with a random population of 250,000 buyers across industries. And the buyers were asked to cite what influenced their buying decision. Additionally, they were also asked to rank these in order of impact. Which one influenced them the most? Now, the top 4 decision influencers for a sale are as follows. The number 1 influence is the salesperson's approach, your approach. 54% of the buying decision, that's more than half the reason why someone will make a buying decision, is your approach, the salesperson's approach. 19% is the product capabilities. What is it that your product can do for me or for your client? 18% was the value add services, the contract, the after sales service, what is being provided, any additionals that come along with that product. All of that was 18%. And price was only 9%. Don't get me wrong. Pricing is important, but in relation to other influencers to the decision, pricing ranked only 4th. The number 1 influence was 54%. Half the reason a person will buy or not buy is the salesperson's approach. Let's look at a simple example. Let's say you're selling cars. You're in a showroom, you've got about 15-20 salespeople there, same model of the cars. People walk into the showroom, someone makes a buying decision, someone does not. The product was the same, the pricing was the same, it entered the market at the same time, it was pitched against the same competition out there. Your promotions or your discounting policies or your schemes were exactly the same. The environment in which the sale engagement happened was the same. What was different? The salesperson. And that made the difference in some cases. Some customers signed on the dotted line and some went away. So if you are not training your salespeople, then you're seriously hurting your own business. Maybe a story or a metaphor might bring this out well. We've all heard of the Titanic and what happened to her. You see, the Titanic was the largest ship during her times. She was even called the Unsinkable. But one day on her first maiden voyage, the unthinkable happened to the unsinkable. The Titanic was hit by an iceberg and sank. Now, was it the bit of ice above the water that took down the ship? No. It was the bit that was below the water that could not be seen that destroyed the ship. So what you do not see can hurt you. But what you choose to ignore will hurt you even more. You see, if I bring this metaphor into the sales environment, what is the above the line, that which you can see? You see, a lot of companies today are focusing and having heavy budgets for their branding, for their positioning, for visibility in the market, for their social media presence, for billboards, for videos, for brand positioning. There's millions of dollars being spent. They create marketing material, collaterals, they create the right kind of sales office and environment, they create events, and they do all of this to attract the client in. They spend on websites and create lead generation systems, and all of this is done for what purpose? To bring the lead into the business. A lot of money is spent in this above the line, but they will not spend a fraction of that, literally a fraction of that, below the line to coach and train and develop their teams so that when all those millions of dollars have captured the lead and brought him to the table, that lead is being met by a competent and effective salesperson. So literally millions of dollars are being wasted above the line to generate a lead who then ends up meeting a salesperson who hasn't been trained to become an effective ambassador of your brand. Is it any wonder that more people leave than buy from the company? So I want to urge you managers and organizations to rethink your attitude and your approach to your salespeople. Train them for effectiveness. Product training is given by everybody. We get that. Because people need to know what they're selling, but nobody buys product. People buy what your product can do. People come with biases, with concerns, with prejudices, with inhibitions. People come not fully trusting what you can offer them. You need your salespeople to answer those questions for them, to remove the doubt, to remove the resistance to buy, and to shift that mindset into a willingness to buy. So if you are a manager or a director or an entrepreneur with a sales team, I would encourage you to think about your approach to your people, because what you do not see can hurt you, but what you choose to ignore will hurt you even more. Good luck and happy selling.